Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Egg Report. I am Greg Perkins, and today we are talking with Pedro Matas.
How you
Uh,
doing, Greg? Good to see you.
yeah, good seeing you again. Pedro's a lawyer here in Orlando, and I met him at a DNC event in Orange County, Orlando, Florida, and told him I started the podcast and I'd like to talk to him. So, one of the things that I know Pedro really wants to talk about is the split between the Democrat, between the old guard and the new guard, a lot of the things going on with David Hogg. So at this point, I'll be quiet and I'll let you give us your thoughts.
Speaking of the split, to me, the split is a very interesting thing because the splits usually happen when there's two different scenarios. The first scenario is the paradigm shift. So society's values have changed, or in which I think it's what's happening in this case, it's more of a the most left-wing portion of the party pushing ideals to bring the party a little more left. I think what's happening in this area, I mean, at this time, is that we're seeing a lot of illegal activity from the right,
Okay.
and the only way that a lot of the left thinks to correct it is by pulling it to more to the left. Um, but the way I see it, it's not a zero-sum game, right? Just because you push it all the way to the left doesn't mean we're going to fix the issues on the right. I think what we're lacking on the right, I mean, it's a lot more safeguards, and I don't agree that the with the younger wing of the party that more left policies are really going to fix the system. What it's going to redo is re-swing the pendulum to the right at some point, and we're going to have another extremist take office and undo everything instead of trying to find a middle ground where both parties can push legislation or candidates that are not going to do this every time they take office.
Okay. So when you're talking about the left, you're talking about the left within the Democratic Party. Do you think they have too much political power?
I think they're the most vocal.
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
Yeah, they're definitely the most vocal. I think they are shifting a lot of views, especially the younger generation, which I find hilarious that, the people that have less that lived less of the history of the party have the more to say, right? Like to they feel unheard. And it makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense that they feel unheard. It's because they haven't really lived through anything,
Right.
right? If the only job you ever had was in the service industry, you don't really know about what it takes to build a business.
But
Of course,
AOC, she might push back on you with that because she
you
worked as a
can.
bartender.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, just because you do well eventually doesn't make it any difference, right?
Mhm.
This is the way I see. I feel like a lot of people are very pro taxes, but of course you are. You're getting money at the end of the year. You're
Mhm.
excited when taxes come. They always focus on the richest portion of it, but there's a lot of us in the middle that we're not excited when tax season comes because we have to have 5,000, 10,000,
Yeah.
2,000, $3,000 set aside to
Yep.
pay taxes, right? And we're not making a particularly large amount, and we're not getting the programs either. And don't get me wrong, I'm very left in the socioeconomic portion of it in the sense of we should help the lower economic classes, we should provide. But at the same time, I understand the hurt that tax season brings along, especially when you're not having a good business year.
Okay, so you sound more like a moderate Democrat. You're kind of like right there in the middle because fiscally, you're saying, hey, I'm a business owner. I have to pay taxes. We can't just give away everything. I believe that, but I'm kind of like you. Some people need help, but also too, we got to watch how much help that you give a person, and it's not supposed to be a lifestyle. So, but again, because there are some things that run through my head, and I'm like, okay, how do I address this to the younger generation to say, Here's a question. Do you want to win or do you want people to hear what you have to say? Because sometimes you got to kind of hold back if you really want to win.
Yeah, but if you've never experienced society, you don't know that, right? You think that, okay, I'm right. I think that's the biggest issue where that people are having. They are convinced that they're right. And until you sit down and speak to the people that make up society, to listen both sides of the aisle, they call that, oh, he's center. He's a center Democrat. That's not really what's happening. It's that, you've lived through enough where you're like, okay, maybe I don't agree with their conclusion. I think their conclusion is wrong, but their rationale is right. Their rationale is based on solid ideas and experiences that I don't live through. What you find out is that a lot of these kids, they're subsidized by their parents.
Yeah.
They're subsidized by this. Somebody's helping them pay their mortgage. They're living with a group of other people. It doesn't matter which way they subsidize their lifestyle, they don't really seem to understand that not everybody is subsidized, right? Some of us are shouldering all the cost ourselves, and we're subsidizing other people's lifestyles, right? You're creating jobs. So there's no reason if you're the job creator why you would make less when you take all the risk, right? When you go under, nobody's trying to give you a job, right? And the people that you're supporting also lose their job. So to be fiscally conservative doesn't mean that I don't understand that I need to help other people because I'm doing well. If I have a good year, I pay more in taxes, and those taxes go towards people that need it. But if I have a bad year, I have to shoulder out by myself. So what do? Do we remove taxes? But if we increase taxes, do we put small businesses under? I think that's where we're having a split and really in the two parties. And I think that's where we're losing a large portion of our funding is because we're pushing away the only people that can fund our campaigns.
hmm I don't know if you've been keeping up with this recent David Hogg thing, how he's saying he's gonna use some money that he has. I guess apparently he has some really rich people behind him, and he
Okay.
said he's going to primary some people. What are your thoughts on that?
I have not heard about that. Who's he primary?
Well, he was just saying that there are some Democrats that they just kind of have the job, but they don't do anything to really represent the Democratic people. And he's saying that those people shouldn't be out there. So, and he's a young guy. I think he's only like 25 years old. And
I
now
mean,
there's a big fight from the national level with him, basically telling him he needs to be quiet.
I don't agree with that. I think if you're not doing anything for your district, you should be primaried.
Oh, okay.
This is, I don't think people are entitled to the seats. I
Yep.
I see that a lot in the Democratic Party specifically, where people are like, "Oh, I spoke to the person that had the seat, and it's now mine because I worked in their campaigns, or I've been with the party for so long, so I'm the one up." That's really
Okay.
not what I mean. I think that it should be a merit based um position, right? Like if you earn the right to run, you should have the right to run.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of these people think that earning the right to run is just being involved in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it's kind
Um,
of politics as usual, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
we got to win. I'm kind of agreeing with you too because the traditional stuff it's not going to work anymore. I mean, Trump unfortunately has shown us that he's the worst type of representative, with all the lies and lining his pockets. But this old way of wait your turn and all that, I'm like, hey, if you want to run, you have something to say and bring to the people. Go ahead.
I agree. I agree with the portion that like if you want to run, you have something to say, you take it to the people. But I think Trump had a long way coming. Right? And I think Trump is a very unique individual. I don't think somebody else like Trump would have won, right? I think there's a history behind Trump that we have seen Trump as a symbol of power for a long time, right? In rap videos, when you talked about money, stakes, towers, Trump is it's a very different individual compared to most people that think that they're like Trump, right? we all saw him as a symbol of power. So everything he said, we believed that I mean, and a great example is DeSantis. When he switched his personality to kind of mimic Trump, his poll numbers started tanking because nobody can beat Trump. And Trump has a weird, interesting way of saying things. So he'll tell you whatever you want to hear. He'll flip flop in the same sentence.
He'll
But
just lie. The dude will just lie.
yeah,
Like he
first,
doesn't have an embarrassment meter.
but the one issue with him is that he stands his ground on certain things, right? Like he said that he was going to deport all legal immigrants. I don't understand why people didn't believe him. He said he was going to do all these tariffs. I don't understand why people didn't believe him. I think people misunderstood what he said and the outcome that he promised.
They thought he was playing.
I don't know if they thought he was praying, but they
No,
thought
no,
that.
playing around, like not
No,
being
that's what I'm
serious.
saying. I don't think he was. I don't think he was playing. They thought he was playing. I think that they thought that the world was just going to bend to our will, right? Like there was no going to be no repercussions to what he was saying.
Yeah.
And now that they're seeing the repercussions, people are getting scared because they thought that this was happening only to other people and it would never affect them. When the United States, it's a statewide economy. Everything that happens to one subsection of it will eventually get to the whole state.
Yeah, because one of the perplexing things to me, and even with some minority, Hispanics and blacks voting for this guy, I'm like, I couldn't vote for this guy because of just the vile things he was saying about people.
Some people are just contrarians. I know Democrats that had been lifelong Democrats, really some of the most left-leaning people I've ever met, just switch parties,
Wow.
straight up switch parties, and now they are pro-Trump. Everything he's doing is great. Some people are just contrarian. Some people want to be the underdog, and they thrive in acting like they've never been a victim. So because they don't want to be a victim so bad, they're more than willing to be like to switch sides at any given moment.
But do you think the Democrats can win some of those voters back?
I think we're going to sweep this election that's coming up.
Why?
I
Why do you
think
think that?
it's affecting all of us, right? We saw the devastation in the stock market. Yeah, it's going back up, but a lot of people that sold at the bottom, they're never going to make that money back. So those people are going to leave with a sour taste in their mouth. We're seeing the housing crisis just kicking into hyperdrive, especially here in Florida. We're
Yeah.
seeing inventory spike and houses not selling for months and months at a time, and we're at peak selling season. So I think if we have the issue with the stock market staying low, housing market starts going down, and then nobody's seeing the tariffs or the price hits anytime soon. That
Right.
comes the later portion of the year, I'm going to say November, December, October area, we're going to start really feeling the effects of all these policies. And if things go south and we enter the bear market on in every front of the economy, I think by the time they try to react by lowering rates or so on to bring up to allow people to borrow money, it's going to be too late.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like when Biden was in, to me, the economy was kind of going along, and he really didn't have to do anything. And this whole fight with the whole world, Canada, Mexico. I mean, come on, dude.
I feel like this economic uncertainty was manufactured. And we're gonna see where we come out at the end of it all. Everybody wants to say that China lost, but what we're gonna see in the long run is the effect that this had. People with our jobs, we're not creating that many jobs. I know, like they're putting out larger numbers, but when you look into those numbers, a lot of the jobs are like Uber and
Oh no, man, I know people personally who have been impacted by it. I was in Washington, D.C. about a week and a half ago, and there was a guy, 28 years out of there. Guy driving the Uber. He said he had just gotten here out of there. I'm like, oh my gosh. And this one guy, man, dude is married, like in his 50s, saying he's going to have to move back in with his parents for a second to get himself together. So that can't be the only story like that out there.
no, no. So that and again, all the these policy swings have been very erratic. So I think we're going to have a really good go at the midterms and at the election. My one issue is going to be, I think I think our candidates have become entitled. I think that we're not going for the best candidate, but we're going for the most boisterous or the person that likes to scream when none of them have any real solutions. Like their solutions make no real sense, no economic sense.
But is
And
that up for the voters to decide that? Vote?
yeah, yeah. Not, I mean, the board, you can pitch, the voters can vote for whoever they want, and you can't fault them for that.
Right,
But if you, but you also have to be able to tell who can actually provide what they're saying.
right,
Right, like some of these things, yeah, you want to swing as far left as possible for some of the things, but are they physically are they feasible? Or is there something that we can do now? Is there other steps that need to be accomplished before that happens? What kind of damage will that have have on whether it is the economy or the social economics or just social construct of society? Where I just feel like nobody's thinking ahead. Everybody's like, what can I do today to push today forward? Without any thought or reason about what's coming. Like it's becoming to see, like if you look at the people that are running, there's no backgrounds. There is usually before we had the best of the best, right? We like before we used to see the people that came out of the top universities or the top members of the community. But now it's whoever can afford it and whoever can
yeah,
himself farther into the community to be able to push their agenda. I know I don't know if the numbers are quite right, but I remember there was a Republican congresswoman, a state congresswoman that spent $3.5 million to get her seat when she makes $30,000 a year. That doesn't make sense, right? Like, why would you spend $3 million on a seat that you only make $30,000? What else are you getting in exchange for that? And it's easy if you just follow the money, you'll find out that a lot of this isn't making sense.
yeah. Well, do you? Man, I don't know if we're going to get money out of politics now at this point because remember the Supreme Court when they made that decision and allowed people to give as much. So I don't think we can get it out of
And,
campaigning.
And I don't, it's not that I want money out of policy per se. I don't think the money is really the issue. I mean, it definitely influences what the issues are, but I think that the issues has become society itself. To me, one of the craziest things that I've seen is it's how society has become all about money.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that you've really seen that turn from 2015 here. Like everybody always wanted money, but
Hmm.
now they're willing to do whatever it takes to get money.
Yeah.
And I
No,
think we're
and it's in your face, right? Because you see it on social media. And look at Trump and just in Saudi this week taking a free airplane. I hope we don't allow that to happen.
that to
Come
me
on,
that's
bro. He's
great.
just over there. They're just giving him money, man.
Like who gets $600 million and be like, I don't owe that guy nothing. It's to me that's crazy to allow open bribery and be okay with.
That's what I said.
And
Like,
people are like, oh, of course we're going to take it. They're giving it to us. Okay. But you complain when people are like, oh, if you go to an expensive dinner with somebody, they expect you to sleep with them. And you're all open arms. I can't believe somebody would say that. If I give you $600 million, you better do
yeah,
whatever the hell I tell you to do.
that's right. Yeah, you owe me something if I
Do you know
give
what I
you that kind
mean?
of money.
Like to me, it's just baffling how people are willing to bend their understanding of things just to fit their narrative.
Hmm. So how do we clean that up though? So I mean, I got so frustrated. I joined the party. I created the website. I'm trying to do everything I can to make my voice heard, and I do see some positives happening. There was a guy in Omaha, Nebraska. They elected the first African American mayor, and I think he won against a Republican, because now I think people may be starting to get pissed off at the Republicans a little bit, saying, hey, you guys are just there to make a lot of money. You're not there to serve us, to help the people.
You know what I think? And to be honest, Greg, I think people need to be able to open their mouth and express their opinions. I see a lot of our mingles, when we go out there. Again, only the young and loud post their questions. But I want to hear from you guys, right? Because anybody that's over 50 has lived through a lot. You've
Yeah,
seen,
yeah, that'll be me, man. That's why I
you know
always
what I
try to
mean?
ask at least one question when I'm in there.
I want to hear again. I get it. You're young. You have new ideas. That's all great and good. But you haven't lived through shit. Like I need to find out how somebody lived through the 2008 crisis. How did you make your dollar stretch? How did you and your friends gather to be able to push legislation that was beneficial for you? How did we make sure that the banks weren't screwing the customers over? How did
Yeah.
we stop the lending? Those are things that no, that kids that were born in 2004 can't tell you about. They can read
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, but maybe we can sit down, Pedro, with them, man, and maybe have some coffee, a couple of beers, and just like talk. Like, don't say they're wrong. They can't say we're wrong. And just say, hey, guys, what's the best solution for, I guess, the party and the people? Like, do you think you'll be able to convince people that maybe they
The
shouldn't
things
vote?
I don't think they're wrong. Like, I think you should fight for the issues that you think they're important to you.
Right.
Don't think they don't, I just don't think they listen. I really don't think they listen. I
But
think they
man, maybe you and I can come up with something, man. Maybe that can be part of the mingles instead of like constantly saying, okay, we're doing this and this. Maybe we can start saying, hey, Samuel, maybe we can have a round table,
not
okay?
wrong.
And really hash these things out. But some of these things, man, are because there are some things I want to talk about. But bro, I'm going to tell you, man,
You're scared.
I'm afraid to say it.
You're scared. And I get you. And like I tell everybody, it's
Shouldn't
tough.
feel that way though.
You gotta be able to talk about it. I mean, to me, there's a lot of big issues that I think that we're missing on. To me, one of the big ones that I see that I've been seeing a lot lately is the intrusion of other people into the way that other people raise their children. To me, that's been huge. The way that everybody tries to tell you how you should rate your kids, how intrusive society has become of being able to what you should be able to teach your kids or what they should be able to learn. Um, to me, that's been huge because I'm seeing a lot of cases of it, whether
Oh
it's
wow.
punishment, whether it is, oh, my kid shouldn't be able to do this in school, should be able to read that in school, should not be able to read this in school. Everybody wants to have an opinion on how to raise other people's kids.
Right.
And actually agree with the Republicans. That's not your business. It's really not your business.
Hmm.
Yeah, you might be, unless the kid is really getting mistreated, you can't keep parents from protecting their children in the way that they believe is right.
Yeah, because there's been a big uptick in people homeschooling the kids, charter schools. The thing to me about that is that when the kid finally goes into real society, how do they handle that? I've never quite been able to understand that because yeah, it's isolation. Like I don't want to be around these type of people, so I just want to be in my own little
But
people that
that's their
support me.
personal right, right? Like I always tell people there's the group right, the group of and there's individual rights, right? What are my individual rights compared to the rights that I have towards society, right? Where I see this specific issue come up a lot, it's in the LGBTQ community.
Okay,
Right? We see this issue come up a lot. And it's the issue is like you should accept me, therefore you have to accept me.
okay.
And I think those are two different things. I do agree that they should accept you, right? That's why I'm in the Democratic Party. We're usually a lot more left leaning in the sense of we accept anything that comes from the LGBTQ community.
But some people are complaining about that. They're saying it's
Exactly. So that's my
too much.
the second portion of it. That doesn't mean I have to accept you, right? This is should accept you by society. I think you should be happy. You should be able to push, but you can't force somebody else to accept you. That's their individual right. That's a right that comes from within me, right? That I get to choose whether I accept you or not for whatever reason it is, right? And
Right.
I think that we confuse those rights. And I think we try to mingle those rights as one, and they're not, right? There's the right of society, right? You have a right to be happy. You can be happy over there without me accepting you. And I think, there's external things for that because you see discrimination in jobs, you discrimination here and there. But at what point can we force the individual to do things that we want them to do? And I don't agree with that.
Yeah, because as a black male, right? I was talking with a white person yesterday, and they said, black people are always complaining about this or that and discrimination. Man, sometimes I can have that conversation, and sometimes I can't because I've lived it, right? My story is typical. The cops, being passed over for jobs, but if you have not lived that experience,
I don't
you
understand.
can't make other people understand. So
Then
I'm not in the business of trying to convince anyone. Like, does it exist? Do I see it all the time? Yeah, I saw it. I saw it a couple of days ago. So,
Well,
but I can't let that make me angry with society or the white people or the types of people,
and
right?
you know what the issue where the issue really lies is that what is their response usually, right? But I didn't do that. My grandmother didn't do that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I'm not responsible for it, but you are, right? Like there is a system of we have a lot less wealth. It's not because they don't want to go to school or they don't want to do this. There is a system of oppression that with years and years of pushing you down keeps you or gives you this perspective of you being more dangerous or you being less likely to
Of
work
course, yeah.
hard or so on. So it again, you can't remove one from the other. They're one and the same. Things that happened that created what happened today. Therefore, there needs to be some way to rectify it. How you rectify, I don't know because I don't know what works and what
Well,
doesn't.
that's why we're sitting here chopping it up now. Like, hey, if we had the answers, man, we'd be big time consultants.
Hey, maybe we'll change. Maybe
Hey,
this
but maybe
is
we
the
can
podcast
get
that
there.
starts it all.
Yeah, maybe we can get there. Speaking of which, last time we talked, um, I was talking about, maybe is there like a political run in your future? Is that something that you'd consider?
I would run. Again, my family has been in politics a long time.
Oh, okay.
Not here in the United States, but in the Dominican Republic. So I don't have an aversion to running for any seat, but it wouldn't be something that I would go out there to get. It would be
Oh,
something that I feel like if I work hard enough, I would like the people themselves to ask for it. And if it never gets to that point, then it never gets to that point. But I don't have an ambition to be like, hey, I need to run, I need to get this seat so that the opinions or my opinion specifically be heard because I'm very different in that sense. I think I would just, even if it goes against what I believe, I would still vote with my voters,
right.
right? I would be a more grassroots centered politician in the sense of like, hey, you guys want water that's more expensive? If that's what you guys want, I don't think that that's the case. This is my reasons why I don't think that should be the case. But if that's how you want me to vote, that's how I'm gonna vote, whether the party agrees or not. And I think that that would create a lot more friction. So I would have to be, it have to be something that the party itself asks for, not something that I push for.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, are there like any do you think the Democrats are gonna win the midterms?
I think
And
so.
okay.
I think we cleaned the midterms, at least the way things are going right now.
Yeah.
Nobody cares how good or what you've done if the economy is bad. And I think come midterms, we're going to be feeling the effects.
It always goes back to the economy, huh?
At least from what I see, that's what my experiences might not be everybody else's.
Yeah, we'll see. We're living in some interesting times because this guy, man, he hasn't been in there a year, and it feels like
It's
2 years already.
day and night.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Pedro, it's been fun talking to you, and guys, we'd like to thank you for joining us for another episode of the Egg Report. I'm Greg Perkins, Pedro Matos, Matos.
Thank you, Greg. Hopefully we do this more often, man. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. We got to get these young people and make it a whole roundtable discussion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking forward to see you soon.
Okay, brother, you have a good one.
Have a good one, Greg.
Okay.